Welcome back, FloTrack podcast. Second show in a row with very serious music. I listened to some of it. It's intense. I don't know if it fits the vibe of the show, but we're going with it. I'm Kevin. He's Gordon. We're remote. If you follow the news at all, follow the weather news at all, big ice storm in our part of the world. So that's why we are back at our desks, at our house. Gordon, have you left your house today?
I have not, but let's show the people the outside. Hold on. Here we go. So you look, the trees all icy, and we're in Texas. You can see everything is covered in ice.
Mm-hmm.
All ice. This is my podcast studio. Look, I never showed anyone. So I got my Phillies right here. Got the Phillies. Got Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. I got a guitar here. This is a food truck that closed called Way South Philly in Austin, Texas. And then I got my pre-poster because I am cliche. And that's about it. And then I got my desk. Has anyone ever seen my desk? It's made out of Connects. And it has GM on it. I have a Connects desk. I built it when I was 18. And it still works at age 35.
Value.
Boom.
Anything fall down? Any trees fall down?
A tree did fall down like 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
I heard it. It went. And then I waited to see if there was going to be a draft into my house, because that means it would hit my house.
Yeah.
But nothing changed. So I was like, all right, it didn't hit the house. But I'm too afraid to go outside to find out where this tree fell. So I'm just going to pretend it didn't happen and just go outside tomorrow and be like, oh, there used to be a tree there. Now it's not. I am worried, though, because I got a note from my neighbor like 2 months ago saying, hey, I need to talk to you about a tree in your yard that is leaning towards. I'm not sure if I told the story on the podcast. Have I?
You did.
You did. Wait, you
did.
follow up on this? You didn't follow up with this guy?
Well, I did follow up.
What'd you say?
I got my landlord to. I talked to my landlord. He's like, all right, we'll take care of it. We'll cut down the tree. But they cut down the wrong tree.
Classic mistake.
And I'm kind of just being lazy, and I probably should tell my landlord, hey, you cut down the wrong tree. It's a different one. And I just haven't gotten to it. And like 3 weeks or 4 weeks have gone by since the tree was cut down. And now I don't know what to do, because now I feel like he's going to be like, why didn't you tell me? I don't know. So the tree is still there. They cut down a different tree. But the other guy hasn't contacted me, so maybe it's all fine. But I'm worried about this winter storm, that maybe that was the tree that just fell. And if it did, it crushed the house next door, which is bad.
That's not good.
Let's just do the podcast and not think about it.
Usually they put the big red X on the tree so they know that they're going to remove the correct one. Or they tie something to it so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no.
Surprise it was a mix.
They cut down the tree while I was out of town, so like I wasn't there to point at the tree, like that's the one.
Yeah. The way you made it sound, though, you made it sound obvious, though. You made it sound as if no one would be able to.
Oh, it was obvious. I took a picture of it.
Okay.
And the tree that they cut down does not look like the tree that I took a picture of. It looked like a very different tree.
Whoops. Yeah. All right, let's start, because we don't know how long we're going to have power.
Tree talk.
We don't know how long we're going to have connections, so we should start. Let's go first. We'll do NCAA rankings. We'll talk London Marathon fields. Got some Penn Relay announcements, and then Ostrava World Indoor Tour is tomorrow. But let's start with NCAA rankings. You want to give me an overview? You want to tell me which one stood out to you?
Yeah, so let's start with the team. The team battle. Very different dynamic for men and women. On the men's side, Georgia, heavy favorites this year, obviously on the backs of Kyle Garland, their multi-athlete, and Matthew Bowling and Elijah Godwin. They're basically going to be the workhorses for getting the most points. At 48 points. Second, I have Stanford, which is going to be on the backs of their terrific, Kai Robinson, Charles Hicks, Cole Sprout. And then Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are basically all virtually tied. Arkansas, Alabama, Northern Arizona, and Texas Tech, all there in the mix. Arkansas, Alabama, Texas Tech, they're more of a traditional track program. They have a little bit of field, sprints, jumps. Northern Arizona, I have scoring 32 points with just 2 guys. And basically, I have them going first and third in the 3K and 5K. I would say making that prediction 3 weeks ago would have been a little bit, are you sure about that? But then after Drew Bosley runs 7:36, you have to think that's a top 3 type runner. And they have Nico Young, who was literally second at cross country. And you look at Charles Hicks, who just is coming off a 7:53 3K when his teammates are all running in the 7:40s. You got to think, does NAU technically have 2 of the best distance guys? And you could think, could they put 2 in the top 3 in both the 3 and 5? And they do that, they can score 32 points, which would be even more funny if they podium with just 2 guys as opposed to like podiuming with 4 guys that they did a year ago. So that's the men's. It's really Georgia versus the field and a couple interesting distance schools in Stanford and NAU. Women.
Hold on, before you go to the women. Before you go to the women, though, on the men, I want to know what's the swing event? What's the important event here? I know you have Georgia plus 13 right now, but historically, that's not that big of a gap this early in the season. We've seen margins much bigger than that get erased. Some people emerge, some people get injured. Right now, what do you think is going to be the event to watch in terms of the team race, given the players that are involved?
Men's 400. 1,000%. Men's 400. I have Florida men, which, I'm probably going to get a tweet from their SID or their team manager, because I have the Florida men ranked 10th, and they like to remind me that they never finish worse than second basically every year. But Florida men have 4 extremely talented quarter milers, and I don't really have them scoring as much as they probably could. Now, I have a feeling Florida's going to move up in the rankings after the mid-February weekend when they all start running like their A-type races. Ja'Cory Patterson hasn't really put up a big mark yet. But the men's 400, because you have the Florida 400 guys, you have Godwin of Georgia. Alabama has a good 400. Like Arkansas has a great 400-meter runner, and Christopher Bailey. There's just a lot. And Christopher Bailey, he could win it or get 7th, and that's a huge swing. Ja'Cory Patterson could win it or get 7th. That's a big swing. So Elijah Godwin could win it or get 7th. It's basically you either win it or you get 7th race. So we're going to have a lot of winners and 7th place finishers in the men's 400. And it's going to affect.
Can I tell you my favorite event on the men's side right now?
What's that?
It's like looking at the rank. When I went through all the rankings, I said, all right, out of these, which event right now am I most excited about? I think it's a men's 60. Just a lot of star power there, right? A lot of people with interesting storylines. A lot of people that you could see. Like, I would not be surprised if half or even all the guys listed in that top 8 won the thing, right? It would not be that surprising if, for example, Ashe, who you have ranked 7th from Auburn, formerly of Tennessee, if he ended up being the NCAA champion, not that surprised at all. But Mekhi Williams, potential for the collegiate record, bowling, going to be running a bunch of events, important for the team race. Devontae Burnett, obviously, he's a star. Ismail Coney, like the names go on and on there. I just feel like that's a loaded event this year.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about the sprints in general. Even in the 200, like the margin of different, like it just. Any person can win it. There's not, or any person can finish top 3. I think is like the real situation. You're gonna have your favorites, but you come into the season ranked 7th to 12th, you could easily finish 3rd, and that's what sprints do. You look at the men's 200. I have bowling as ranked number 1. The LSU athlete Dorian Comel 2nd. Mekhi Williams 3rd. Like that would be. Maybe Javonte Harding, the Tennessee kid who transferred from North Carolina A&T. He was running incredible outdoor 200s. he could come up there and maybe surprise and win it. It's really hard to predict the men's sprint events because the talent. I mean, Sean Masanganwe, the Houston kid, like, remember him a few years ago? He was lighting up the track. I don't even have him ranked in the top 8 in the 60. I have him 7th in the 200. So a lot of movement can happen. There's a little more known in the women, I feel.
But if you go to the top of the men's 60, Williams versus Bowling and Burnett. Let's just even take Williams versus Burnett. Remember indoor last year? Williams false starts. Burnett gets the win. So Williams is going to try to get another NCAA title. Burnett's going to try to repeat. And then outdoors, I thought Burnett was on his way to potentially win the whole thing, or at least get top 2. He gets an unfortunate injury late in the season. There's just a lot of established names there. The last few years in sprinting, on the men's side, especially NCAAs, it's like been, okay, who's going to establish himself as a name? Who's going to establish himself? This, all the characters coming into the season. So I'm really into the men's 60, and a lot of people with international experience as well. But let's move to the women's side. Can we do an overview of the team race, and then let me know what you think the pivotal events are going to be?
Last year was all about Florida versus Texas. It's going to be like that this year. It's kind of crazy that Florida is still in the driver's seat after losing Anna Hall, but like they still though return Jasmine Moore. They return, who's phenomenal in the long and the triple. They return Talitha Diggs. They return Grace Stark, who's coming off an injury, but they have a lot of depth that basically they're running it back, and they're going to be the heavy favorites on it, in my opinion. Texas is right now in second. Texas, though, they lost a few, but they still have a few guaranteed points. And, Julian Alfred is a guarantee. They have a couple new transfers that came in. They're going to be, at worst, third place in their events. So Texas still is going to be formidable, but it's going to be a Florida-Texas battle. Florida with the advantage here. Right now at the 82 points to 70. And then it's everybody else. Arkansas is kind of in no woman's land. They're kind of just hovering there in third on the backs of just having a diverse group and great distance runners. The thing that's helping Florida, though, is Parker Valby. And I was actually wondering if Parker Valby was going to run for Florida this year, because we know about how Chris Zielinski took the job at Oregon. And when the Alabama coach went to Florida, there were some transfers out of Alabama, and you're wondering, will Parker Valby move? As of right now, she's still there. She ran the DMR anchor for Florida, hopefully qualifying their DMR. So we're likely going to see Valby run the 5 and the 3K down the line in February, which these rankings take into account. The USATF CCA rankings currently don't have Parker Valby ranked anywhere, which is dumb. Florida is going to get, at worst, 16 points from Parker Valby, at most 20 points from her. So the Valby factor is going to help. Texas doesn't have anyone that can really counteract the points that Parker Valby is going to score for Florida. And that's why they're heavy favorites by 12 points.
Key events for the women, is it going to be 400 as well?
No. Yeah. I honestly think the key event is Parker Valby, because if she runs and just like carries a team with 16 to 20 points, there's gonna be no way that Florida's gonna lose. Basically, Texas needs to call up NC State, call up, Colorado, call up all the top distance schools, be like, hey, can you just like make sure Parker doesn't win? Like, can you just make sure she gets like 4th or 5th? Because Texas is going to be huge Wolfpack fans. Texas is going to be huge, like Oklahoma State fans, Washington fans, because they know that they're going to need Parker not to score as many points. And right now, I have Parker Valby second in the 3K behind Tui, and I have Parker Valby whatever in the 5K. So look at the 3K. I have Tui 1, Valby 2. Taylor Rowe 3. Man, this 3K is going to be good. Kaylee McCabe 4. Chalanga 5. So, have Lauren Gregory there in 8th. She can probably score. But yeah, we're gonna have a nice little Tui versus Valby part, whatever. How many times they race. And then the 5K, I have Valby winning it because I'm assuming Caitlin Tui will opt for the DMR. So Valby, Taylor Rowe. So really, it's Taylor Rowe and Mercy Chilenga. Like Alabama and Oklahoma State are going to be crucial for Florida. Like I guarantee this at SECs, Mike Holloway is going to go up to Alabama's coach and be like, all right, here's the thing. I know we're rivals. I know SEC, we put it all on the floor, but just do me one favor. Don't be – no, wait, hold on. No, he's not going to ask him a favor. He's going to be – I take it back because he's against Alabama.
Edric needs to go there. Yeah.
Edric is going to be calling up Alabama, being like, hey, rest all of your runners for SECs. Go all in and take out Valby for us at NCAA. Sorry, I mixed up my SEC.
Future SEC coach there in Edric Floreal in Texas.
Yeah, sure.
Is there any other events that are standing out to you for the women other than the ones you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the distance is going to be Tui and Valby and Taylor Rowe. Will be fun. Sprints, I am kind of interested in the women's 60 hurdles. So if you bring up the women's 60 hurdles rankings, all right. I put Masai Russell number 1, obviously, because she broke the collegiate record. But, like, Grace Stark is legit. Now, she's coming off injury. She won last year. I have her 5th. But if you look at outdoors, the Texas Tech athlete, Roswell, and Akira Nugent, of Arkansas, Nugent of Arkansas, they ran incredibly outdoors. And Aaliyah Armstrong's like been misconsistent. So like Masai Russell is kind of new. I mean, she deserves to be number 1 because she broke the collegiate record and she's, a senior and she got it all going for her. But like, it's not going to be an easy win for the collegiate record holder. And so I think that's going to be an interesting thing. Like there could be a situation where Masai Russell gets 4th and everyone's like, how did that happen? Well, it happened because it was a deep event. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that women's 60 hurdles.
Yeah, even Paula Solomon of A&T is really good, and she's a vet. She's run 783, right? I mean, 783 is fast, and a 12.63 in the highs outdoors. But yeah, Nugent and Roswell last year were cooking. Like they were running real fast outdoors too, and then Nugent ran quick time over the weekend as well. So I agree with you. That's a stacked top 5, 6 there. Getting in the finals is going to be really hard.
Do you want to know what the hardest one to rank was?
Yeah.
Can you guess?
Well, when you say hardest, what does that mean?
Most difficult.
For you?
Just
you didn't know what to do?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do.
Men's 800.
No, that was easy.
Yeah, it was a joke. Women's shot put. I don't know. Go ahead.
Men's mile.
Oh, I was actually going to guess that.
So I want to know what your thoughts are on the men's mile.
Washington.
It's like that meme. Washington, 6'10", weighs a ton. All right. So number 1, the first thing about the rankings I got: the South Carolina kid Isai 1, Ilya Kipsang 2, Joe Wascom 3, Nathan Green of Washington 4, Adam Spencer 5 of Wisconsin, Ryan Shoppy, Oklahoma State 6, Luke Hauser of Washington 7, and Fouad Masoudi, Oklahoma State 8. So here's the question. Number 1, Washington has all these guys, but are they going to run it? You don't know who's going to actually run the mile versus the DMR versus the 5K. So that's challenge number 1. If Washington has like 12 guys, who of the 12 are actually running the mile? So I took out who did I take out? I took out Kieran Lum and I took out Brian Fay because I was like, I don't think they're going to run the mile. So that was step 1. And then step 2 is what does 351 actually mean? Like, does that actually mean that you are guaranteed to be dominant? Because we see a lot of times the people with the best seed times in the mile, a lot of times don't end up winning. We know that the whole like collegiate record curse, like, oh, I break the collegiate record, and then you lose in the NCAA mile. And then you have the factor of Anaya. How do I say this guy's name? I keep on saying, how do I say the South Carolina kid's name?
Asai.
Okay. Like Isai, but not Asai. He's the ultimate, like, I have him ranked 1. He didn't even qualify for the final in the 1500. Didn't even qualify for NCAAs last year in indoors. But the guy can run fast. He ran a fast 7:43 3K. I got to believe that when he's actually all together, the guy from Morocco, he's going to be, I don't think anyone's going to beat him. So it's kind of like putting a lot of trust in him when he has no really true NCAA championship experience, trying to predict Washington's game plan, and then, filling in the gaps that's what made it hard.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You just said sometimes a guy comes up out of nowhere and doesn't have a good seed time and wins an NCAA title in the 1500 of the mile. You know who that was last year?
Yeah.
That was Joe Wascom. And now he has a 351 to his name. I agree with you. We don't know what Washington's going to do, but that's why I would have him number 1. Now, does a tactical 345 that he ran at Hayward Field last year, does that carry that much weight this year? I think it does a little bit, just because it shows you he's been able to do it in a championship setting. He's been able to get through rounds and things like that. Then now he has this crazy fast PB. So I'd have him 1 now. There's just a lot of question marks around everybody else.
Not Kipsang? You have him over Kipsang?
Yeah, because what was Kip saying last year? Wasn't he this was the exact situation that you were describing, right? Someone comes in with a crazy fast PB, and then because it's mile, it's all, I don't know.
Yeah, he got 8th. He got 8th indoors last year. And then outdoors, what was he outdoors? Colt, can you scroll up? He didn't
went
make
out
the
in
final.
semis. Yeah. So there you go.
But that means he has that drive. He has that motivation. That's a factor. You got to add the motivation aspect to it.
I think he is the type of person that you were describing before. Fast time.
True.
Hasn't run well in championships. So Boscombe has. So I would go with him, and he also has the fast time to make. He made it easy for you. Joe Boscombe made it easy for you this year.
I know he did run 351. He's defending outdoor champ, but like, I don't know. Maybe I need one more like race, or I need, because maybe I'm banking on Kipsang and Isai to go out like mid-February and respond with 351s themselves, and I'll be like, guys, everyone's running 351s now, so
they probably will. But I think unless there's something completely out of the ordinary, I think I'd roll through with Wascom. I've seen enough already from him.
Well, luckily, the rankings will change week by week.
Anything else from rankings? 4 rankings?
No, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's a good starting point for the rankings. Want to talk for a sec?
Who do you think? Who do you think is going to win the men's 3K?
Men's 3K? Have I already made a pick? I can never remember if I already made a pick.
I don't know. Have you?
I'll go Mayer if I haven't made a pick yet. Say Alex Mayer. Yeah. Again, I reserve the right to retract that in 2 weeks.
Can I add that to the over-unders? Alex Mayer, 1.5 place in the 3K?
Yeah, I'm going for it. I'm going Alex Mayer. I want to talk about London Marathon because we have some announcements there. And the men's side getting a lot of attention just because of the big names. So you got Farah, you got Bekele. 4 of the fastest in history are going to be in this race, though, lined up. Kelvin Kiptoum, who just ran sub 202 in Valencia, he's going to be there. Legesse. And we're back.
Look at that. It was not my tree that hit Colt's home.
I lost internet for a sec, but we're back, guys. I think some generator blew up somewhere.
Jordan in the comments, the ice outside does not hold a match to the ice in Colt's veins. That's right. Colt, explain how you got it back. What do you have handy at your house? What are you doing over there?
Very strange. So like everything flashed off for a second, everything froze, but my computer has a little bit of a battery pack on it, so it doesn't immediately turn off when we lose power. It just flashed off. So the file is safe, guys. We are good to go, and we're back at it.
Impressive. Guys, you want someone in your corner like Colt. When stuff goes haywire, he's got it all taken care of. So I was talking about the London Marathon. I'll pick up right there. Michaela's going to get a lot of attention. Farah's going to get a lot of attention. Amos Kipruto is going to get some attention too because he's the defending champion. But I think everybody really wants to see what Kelvin Kiptoom does, Gordon, because in his debut, he ran 2:01:53 in Valencia. Yes, Valencia is an absurdly fast course, but not a very long list of guys who have run sub 2:02. So I'm glad that he's jumping in a marathon major, and I'm glad we're going to get to see him against this quality field.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's one of those weird, rare cases where you're like, a Kipchoge-less field actually looks not too bad. You know, you're like, hey, this is something that's like, even without Kipchoge, there's multiple storylines. There's potential for seeing something incredible when you have, this is a race with two guys who have run 2:01, and Kipchoge's not one of them. Look,
yeah,
that's pretty wild. And a bunch of 2:02 guys. So I'm excited about it. Like you said, Kelvin Kiptoom, that's going to be the what now? Like we saw an incredible debut. Now that he's got one under his belt, now that he knows what it's like after mile 20, after mile 22, what's he going to bring to the table? Is he going to go even wilder? I mean, the course isn't really world record type course. It's not Berlin or Valencia, but you know, there's some big names, and he could put down a great performance that can kind of like set himself up for, hey, give me one more shot at Kipchoge. Maybe I can, not one more shot, but give me a shot.
Give me a shot. Give me a shot. Yeah, exactly.
Give me a shot at Kipchoge and see what happens.
Yeah, everybody was taken aback by that fast time, but because it's Valencia and because he hadn't run before a marathon, he didn't know what to do with it. But if you win in London, that immediately puts you in. Yeah, I don't know what to do. It immediately puts you in a different stratosphere, winning London. And you couple that with the 2:01, then you're going to get people talking about, all right, are we going to see these two guys match up? Kipchoge would still be the heavy favorite unless their spring marathons go in completely different directions. But then it would be a worthy match, I think. Farah, I saw in the press release, they asked him, hey, is this going to be it? He didn't commit one way, yes or no. I mean, it would make sense if he is going to do a farewell race for it to be in London. And it feels like the marathon is where he's trending. We talked about this before. Road races are just more accessible than track races, right? So he gets to have one last run through the streets. I don't know if that's the case, but it's just a different way to end your career than running in a Diamond League 5K and getting 9th or 10th. It's just like a totally different feel to it, I think. If you're a distance runner, then being able to run a marathon in your home country, in front of the home fans, against a hard field where nobody expects you to win. Like the expectations are completely off of Mo Farah at this point, which is a 180 from virtually the last, 10 years of his career, where every race, even if he shouldn't have been considered the favorite, like his marathon debut, people are wondering, hey, is he going to break the world record? Now things have become a lot more realistic after seeing the last couple of years of Farah. So he wants to give it a shot. So it'll be fun. Another thing to watch.
Yeah, he should like find a way to like do like a memorable tribute at each mile that like represents an achievement he's done in his career. You know? Like at each like at the 2008 or 20, like the 20.08 kilometer mark, he like does something for his Olympic double, and does like a different thing where each either mile marker or kilometer marker or time marker is like representative of one of his achievements. And so he has like this whole like parade of Mo while running 205.
Yeah, I like it. Women's field, we'll break that one down either Friday or next week. We got Ailish McColgan in the British field. I don't think we have the full international field yet for that too. So I'm gonna wait till we have all of that out, and we'll have plenty of time to break that down next week. The power just cycled over here. I don't know if it did that for you too. Probably not. We're kind of far away from each other, but I'm getting a little concerned now about how
I
much
heard
longer
something
this.
fell off my roof.
Unlike Colt, I do not have a secret battery pack that is powering this show, so it'll be
We're living in
curtains.
Fallout, guys.
Guys, here's a problem. I'm really bad with preparing for winter storms. I only have one thing in my fridge right now. And I have a feeling that I won't be able to go get food anywhere, right? Because I'm guessing everything's closed.
DoorDash
They
doesn't
just
work in the storm.
Yeah, they just announced schools closed tomorrow too. So basically, that means everything's going to be shut down again tomorrow.
Will HEB be closed? Will the grocery store be closed?
I don't think HEB will be closed.
Okay.
So if you can get there, I think you'll be all right.
Because I am worried that I'm not going to have any food tonight or tomorrow.
All right.
Should I
Do
be
you know your
worried?
neighbors? Do you know your neighbors?
I don't know my neighbors. Can I come to your house? If I drive to
leave
your
a
house,
note.
could you give me a loaf of
Leave a
bread?
note for that guy next door and
Yeah.
see if he can give you some food.
Yeah, you haven't done well to make nice with your neighbors.
Yeah. All right. So if I really am starving, I'm going to drive to your house and you can make me buttered toast or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
100%.
Cool. Sweet.
Checking in on the chat. All in the game says Bracy has apparently withdrawn from the New Balance 60-meter race. Yeah, we're going to break that down tomorrow.
Friday?
No, Friday. Friday's going to be morning pod, by the way. Friday's a 9 a.m. pod, assuming Gordon is still able to eat. Yeah, we'll talk about all the New Balance stuff for Friday. That sound good?
It sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Well, I mean, obviously everybody's super interested in the women's 60 and the men's 60. You still have Bromell versus Lyles, right?
Yeah.
I wanted Bracy in there too. In fact, I was getting my picks ready because I needed to do even more research because you made up a little bit of ground on me last time, and I didn't like that. I took it personally. I looked in the mirror and I said, Kevin, you going to work harder or are you going to let this guy come back on you? I said, work harder. And I was actually prepared to pick Bracy in that race. So makes things a little easier not having him in there. But I want to do a quick announcement. We're doing Penn Relays again this year, right, Gordon?
Oh, yeah.
So we're getting some team announcements. The meet's going to be live on FloTrack. We got Clemson and we got South Carolina signing on. Clemson, the man, they brought home a wheel at last year's Penn Relays, which was exciting. And on the women's side, South Carolina, who's coming back this year, they won the Championship of America in the 4x1, the 4x2, and the 4x4. A lot of memorable performances for them. They're both going to be back. I like the quote in this release from South Carolina coach Curtis Fry. Basically says, he says, very few people get to run in the second greatest meet in the world behind the Olympics. Penn Relays, second greatest meet in the world behind the Olympics. I mean, I know you're obviously a big Philly guy, so you're gonna echo that sentiment. But I gotta say, after being there last year, the desire to win with all those teams for what is basically a meet in the middle of the season was so awesome to see. Right?
They won.
And the pressure, the intensity. Like, we've been to a ton of regular season track and field meets. This is not a regular season meet.
No.
Right? It takes place during what we would call the regular season, but it's just a completely different atmosphere out there. And the intensity, you can tell, like, people want to leave with one of those wheels. At the end of his quote, he says, you hear of people saying, I attended the Penn Relays that are 80 to 90 years old. There's no other track event in America like the Penn Relays. Hard to argue with that.
I love it. And South Carolina women, they were classic with great one-liner reactions in the post-race interviews. Interviews
were great,
was
man.
just
Yeah.
like, we got to go back into the archives and compile all the best interview moments of South Carolina. We'll turn that into a little highlight reel later on this year. It'll be fun.
For sure. All right, we got a couple other news items. Gordon, you want to bring this one up? We saw Kevin Hansen of Hansen's Running tweet out, I'm hearing rumblings that USATF Road Championships may not be in existence in the next couple of years. Your thoughts?
Well, it's an interesting thing that could happen. But then you think about it and you're like, all right, USATF Road Championships. And then you look into it and you're like, what has been going on in the USATF Road Championships? And you realize that there's like a 6K, a 7.2K, a 9 mile, a 12K, a women's only 8K, a 10K, a half marathon, a full marathon. And you start recognizing, Molly Huddle was the queen of seeing all these road races and getting title after title after title. But the prestige of a road race USA title is not anywhere near the prestige of a major marathon title or a track indoor or outdoor title. And I think there may be we're wondering why. Why does someone not really set their season up to win the 12K road race? Mm-hmm. We look back at the way it's even covered, like it's kind of like, all right, Leonard Courier, he won the 12K this past week in Michigan. Or, oh yeah, okay, Molly Huddle wins it again. And, it's just like the story is based around the story after the races are always like, all right, what does this mean about when they run at the Olympic trials or when they run at the outdoor championships?
When Huddle or other stars would run it, it was good for the events. It was great for those events because it put a spotlight on it because you're going to pay attention to what the best athletes do. But I think a lot of times if it didn't have a star or if a star was planning on running and then pulled out late, you didn't really notice the meet. You didn't really notice that race. It blended in because there are so many other road races. I wonder if the path forward is going to be, you've talked about pairing the track meet with the marathon. I wonder if the path forward might be pairing a couple of these road races with track meets that are already going on. Now, you'd say, all right, there might be some overlap there because if you have a 10K, you're going to split your field between people on the road and people on the track. But maybe there's a way to do it. Maybe it's in a meet where there's not a longer distance offered. Then at that same point, you offer that, that morning there's going to be the USATF, 15K championships. I feel like it would get more attention because it's hard to stick out. But if you pair it with the track meet, people might go and check it out who otherwise wouldn't, or people would pay more attention to the results who otherwise wouldn't. And, a lot of these were, the local races were organizing these things, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember I went to the LA Marathon one year when it happened to be the USATF Marathon Championships. Well, it wasn't a different race because it was the US Marathon Championship. All that happened was they took the results, and if you were the top American, then that meant you were the US Marathon champion that year. So it's building off existing infrastructure that's there. So maybe that's a reason why they won't change it, why they would keep it the same. It's just going to take away the USATF, it'll take away the title from it.
Yeah. The title, probably does USATF contribute prize money? Maybe they're trying to. Yeah, there's Hansen says all travel and prize money comes from the local organizing committee. So
yeah, it's really just a label.
It's just a label.
Yeah, you get to be. You're the 5K champion. You're the 8K champion. You're the 20K champion. What if they did? They've done this before too, right? They've done the circuit too, haven't they? Where you're sort of creating a diamond league for road racing. Yeah, there are these road races that have like this rich tradition in each locale. That's pretty cool, right? You talk about Boulder and Lilac Bloomsday and Falmouth, right? We've heard all these names before. It would be cool to create like a major tour of those where you take the 10 best, maybe it's one a month, and
here's my question.
And then orient around that.
What is the market for road racing anyway? Is the market of road racing is training for your marathon?
Well, some of those people are making. Well, no, some of those people are making more money than they would be on the track. The marathon. You can only do a marathon. You can only do a couple marathons.
That's what they're doing because they're going where the participation goes, and the participation, everyone's paying an entrance fee for the 1,000+ race, and then that's how they get prize money. Whereas you're not getting local runners entering your local track meet. That's why there's more prize money in road races because there's participation in road races. 100% 1-to-1 ratio. It's not because it's more. It's just because there's people participating, paying entry fees. Anyway, what I'm saying is like, if you're a really good 12K road racer, who is a really good 12K road racer? Is it that person doesn't exist? Because that person who's really good at the 12K road race is trying to run a fast marathon.
They don't have a
capstone. Trying to run a fast 10K.
They don't have a capstone event, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
The capstone event is a marathon, or it's that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is the big marathon performance or making a track team for their country, right? Yeah, I get it.
No one goes to bed at night dreaming like, one day I want to win the 8.4K USA title.
Well, okay.
No one is saying that.
But here's the thing. But do you think we're missing some athletes, though? And what I mean by that is, should we make some space for a distance between 6.2 miles and 26.2 miles where the pinnacle of the sport should be on the road in road racing and not on the track or at the marathon?
No.
They should just have to choose?
You choose.
Okay.
I honestly think you don't want me to. I'm controversial. I think there's too many events already in track, so that's just me. But like,
people do say you're controversial, Gordon.
I think like thinking outside the box. Why is there a 1 and a 2 and why is there a 5 and a 10K? There should just be one long distance event and one sprint event. That's radical, and I get it. I love watching the 200 and the 10K just as much as everyone else. I get excited about it. I love debating it, and it's a really good event right now, whatever. But there is something interesting about like having basically sprinters sprint just a little bit longer distance. It's like at the end of the day, you just want to know who the fastest sprinter is and who the fastest distance runner is. So
yeah, I don't think seeing Bolt and Shelley and Fraser Price fewer times is a good recipe.
But do you think the end of the 10K and the end of a 5K is any different?
No, but it's a chance to see it's a chance to see Mo Farah again, though. It's a chance to see Sifan Hassan again. Is the end of a 200 butterfly that much different than a 100 butterfly? No, but you get to see Michael Phelps. I don't know what events he does. I'm out of my depth here in swimming, but it's a way to trot out the stars again. People want to see stars over and over again.
Then why doesn't the NBA have a simultaneous game like the next day where they play a 5-on-5 and then they play 3-on-3?
Well, it's a team sport. That's a totally different thing. I gave you a good analogy with swimming, and you're throwing a bad analogy back.
Okay, why don't we watch Tiger Woods do 4 rounds of golf, and then he does it again where it's like he does a mini golf tournament the next week.
He literally plays
the match.
He literally, yeah, exactly. What he does.
No, mini golf. I want to watch the Masters. I want to watch mini golf Masters. Where they're doing.
You see him 4 times. You see him 4 days in a row at the majors. There's multiple majors.
Yeah, they're doing the same event though.
Then they play
18 holes of golf.
They're not limited for exposure in tennis and golf. And the superstars play for the most part in tennis and golf. Also, Colt bringing up Holy Moly, the Steph Curry miniature golf show. In track and field, where you're trying to get people to pay attention, like in I'll just say it for Olympic sports. Why in gymnastics do they do the all around? They do the all around in gymnastics, and then they do each individual discipline separate. They do exactly what you're saying in these other sports.
No, well, gymnastics isn't that popular compared to golf and tennis.
But these are the sports track is competing with. This is the sports that track is competing with in the Olympics. It's not competing with tennis and golf. It's competing with swimming. It's competing with gymnastics. And that's exactly what they do. They have 10 days of program. We shouldn't be competing
with swimming and gymnastics. We should be competing against the sport that makes more money, which is golf and tennis.
They have to work. They got to solidify their Olympic base before they worry about building out. And for the Olympics, if you have 10 days of track and field, if you're doing the Olympics and you have 10 days of programming, you need 10 days of superstars. That's the way it is.
If you're centering your sport around the Olympics, that is a bad business model.
That's the reality. If
you're centering your sport around the Olympics, it's bad. You're already lost before you even started.
That's the reality right now. So don't concede the Olympics. Do what the Olympics. Do what you're doing at the Olympics.
You just don't need to make it you don't need to focus on it. You don't need to build your sport around it.
That's two separate questions. You're talking about torpedoing the Olympic schedule in hopes of making the sport more popular for some faraway purpose.
Are you telling me
I'm saying
our sport is doing well because they run the 5 and the 10? Come on.
I'm saying it would be worse if you took away events at the Olympics. I would make it worse. Not every plan makes things better. There's things that would make things worse. It's possible to get worse. I know everybody thinks track is at the bottom of a deep, dark hole right now, and some days it feels like it is, but there is a possibility to make it worse. And one way to make it worse would be to cut out opportunities for stars and people to compete. You got 10 days of programming, 9 days, whatever it may be. You got to fill it, and you got to fill it with stars.
Sure, okay. Then have both events for Olympics only. All right. But the rest of the year, we need to figure out a better solution. Sure. You can have your fun little Olympic schedule. it's not the end of the world if you have a 200 meters at the Olympics. But what I'm saying is, would you rather watch athletes all year round care about one 100-meter race and one 200-meter race within the same weekend? Or would you rather have all those athletes all year round care about winning a 100-meter race 4 different times?
Yeah, but those are two separate things. The 100 doesn't get more popular because you eliminate the 200. The 5,000 doesn't get more popular because you eliminate the 10,000. Those are two separate things.
I disagree.
There's not going to be people moving in droves to. If you could say 100%, we're going to get all the best people.
Would the 100? No, hold on. Would the 100 have been more popular at the past World Championships if Noah Lyles was on that start line?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so it would have been more popular. If the 200 didn't exist, Noah Lyles would have been running a 100-meter dash right now.
He didn't make the team in the 100.
He would have tried to make the team because that's what he would have had to focus on.
He didn't make it. He wouldn't. Yes, I do. He didn't make it. He tried it the year before. He didn't make it.
Yeah, but there's a difference between trying to make a team when you're doubling and trying to make a team when you're singling. It's very different.
That's your argument?
Are you telling me if Noah Lyles was born into a world where there was no 200-meter dash, he would not make the 100-meter team?
You're talking to the guy who's predicting him to double this year. So
yeah, but
I would think
if the 200 literally did not exist, there was no it's like the 300. It doesn't exist.
I don't think Lyles running the 100 would create the revolution that you think it would. I'll just say that. I think
it would be a more interesting race when you have all the best athletes running together.
You did.
We did it. Noah did not run the 100.
Noah did. Noah, he ran the 2, and you saw him in the 2. And I think people are smart enough.
We didn't see him race against. I mean,
I don't think you're giving. I think you're not giving like the common fan enough like credit. Like they can get excited about a 200 and 100. Like they can understand that there's different events and people have different specialties.
What was your reaction to the 2017 men's 200-meter final?
27. Oh, Ramo Guliev year?
Yeah. Do you think that was good for the sport?
No.
Exactly. No. Why did that happen?
What did I think about the 2023 NFC Championship game? Was that good for the sport? No.
It was great for the sport.
Bunch of guys got hurt. I don't know. Injuries happen in the sport. But
So
like
that wasn't.
getting rid of it wouldn't have made the 100 more popular. Like I don't know why you don't understand this. Was it great? No, but getting rid of it isn't a value add. It doesn't make
imagine though if it was the other way around and all the athletes went to the 200 and they abandoned the 100, you would be like, "What's going on?"
Well, if in this hypothetical, all those scratches almost could have led to Van Niekerk winning. I mean, he only lost by 2 100s. Van Niekerk wins, then it's a huge story because then you have a 2-4 doubler, which is what everybody wanted to see.
Okay, what about this? The number one story that our sport is going through right now is that our best athletes never get to race each other. We're never going to see a Thing Mo race Sidney McLaughlin. That's a problem. The reason why that problem exists is because there's a lot of events, and then the best athletes kind of all become kings and queens of their respectable events.
No.
That's what happens.
You're right that the problem is they don't race each other, but the solution is you got to figure out a way to get them to race each other. You don't just Hunger Games events one by one until there's one track event and then everybody competes with each other. Like
no, you do. You need Hunger Games until there's one track event within that discipline. One sprint, one long sprint, one mid distance, one distance, and guess what? Then you have multiple world champions, multiple kings and queens of the unique discipline, all finding out, are you actually the legit king? Are you the legit queen? Because it's cute when you win your side event and your side event, but what happens when you have to race each other, when you have to go up against the best of the best? That would be fun to watch.
You
should make a track meet where it's like you're not you only get one. There's an issue that Sidney McLaughlin doesn't race Shawnee Miller-Weibo. The two best in there, they are the same skill set, running fast, one lap around the track, and they didn't race each other because our sport created two different types of ways to run around the track, one with hurdles, one without. And I get it, it's cool, and we have the steeplechase and all this stuff, and high hurdles, and like I'm not saying like we need to like delete these events, but there is a problem when you have 18 different events, 18 world champions, when really you could combine a few of those world champions to make mega world champions. I want mega world champions, not just single world champions.
In the era where track, I'll leave it with this. In the era when track was popular and it was doing numbers, you had the same events, more or less. You had the 400 hurdles. You had the 200. You had the 100. People were watching. I think the solution is figure out a way. A more realistic solution is just figure out a way for them to race each other.
Take away their events and then they'll race each other. They'll be like, this is where we got to go. World Athletics is already doing that right now by saying like, we want people to race each other, so let's take away their meets. Say like, hey, you only can race each other if it's at our meet. That's a strategy.
Yeah. All right.
Strategy.
We'll leave it there.
I guarantee
95%
of the chat
blink twice if you're feeling okay. Anthony says, Gordon talking crap as usual. Donovan says that's dumb. I don't know what that's in reference to. Could have been me or something else.
It's not to me, clearly.
Let's see.
I mean, from the outside looking in, like, it's a marketing problem more than anything. Like, nobody watches track. I mean, 95% of people watch track unless it's the Olympics. There's no reason to, like, tune into the World Championships because no one knows when they are even. I mean, I think that's more of the problem than event types, in my opinion.
I think, yeah.
And Colt's opinion matters because Colt is
Colt's
not
the
a person who's like,
you got to win Colt over.
Who's just like was born into track and like did it in high school. And so we just already have this preconceived, everyone should know who Sydney is. And everyone should know what the difference, that there's exchange zone rules within a 4x1 and all that.
Plus, if you lose events, you lose those champions and you lose those fan bases. Like, if there's only the 100, like, the world is not going to care about the 100 if they don't have somebody competing in it. You know, like, there's countries that only have one person that's good at one event, and that's like the superstar of that country, and they bring people into track and field. If there's no superstar in that event, no one will care.
Oof. Wow. Couldn't say it better myself. Gordon reeling after Colt.
I'm not reeling.
Well,
I disagree, but
whatever. Colt.
Respectfully. I understand Colt's point, though.
But Colt's point goes to what I was talking about earlier, where it's like it is possible to go backwards. If you're operating from we have nothing to lose, we have 1 year to make this work, otherwise we're going to become financially insolvent, then yeah, throw everything against the wall. But there is ground to lose, and it is what Colt is talking about. It's like, okay,
And
cool.
again,
Cut
we have
it down to
18
15. Cut it down to 15 people, and then see like if the rest of the world even cares. Like they're
And
not.
again, part of my solution is not just cutting down the events. Yeah, we're cutting down from 18 to whatever, 10. But guess also what you're doing. You're taking 10 and multiplying it by 4 and having a 4 major system where you're going to have 4 champions in 10 events. That's 40 champions. You're actually having more world champions by cutting my events and then multiplying it by 4. Because you cut the events, multiply it by 4 majors, and then you get 40 different incredible moments as opposed to 18 substandard moments in the summer.
They're not substandard. People liked seeing Bolt win the 1 and the 2. People liked seeing Michael Johnson win the 4 and the 2. People liked seeing Shelly Ann and Elaine Thompson compete in both. It's a narrative. It's a story. I mean, I know you're on about the 4 major stuff, but that's a thing that's just never going to happen, right? Like in terms of unrealistic things. I mean, eliminating that many events also isn't going to happen. What I'm talking about probably isn't going to happen, where they somehow magically create some incentive structure to get all the best people to compete multiple times a year. That's probably not going to happen either. But that to me is the most logical step forward. I think I'm going to retire because Colt is just crushing it in the chat. 100% approval rating right now.
Let's go.
Jordan says, okay, Colt, all caps. Tampa Eagle says Colt is right. Maybe, can we get shirts to say Colt is right?
Colt is right. Oh, man. We need to start merch. That should be one of our 2023 goals. Start merching it up.
Do you want to, is that it? We got our Strava World Indoor Tour coming up tomorrow. Keep an eye on that men's 800. Could be good. That's live on FloTrack in where? US, Canada, Australia?
I think Great Britain as well.
That one's Great Britain too, huh? Okay. Well, double check on that, right? Actually, I can check.
I think it's Great Britain.
I'll check.
The gold ones, the gold tours are not in Great Britain, but the ones that aren't gold are in Great Britain. And America and UK and Australia and Canada.
Let me confirmed. Confirmed. Yes, that is correct. Great Britain, Canada, Australia, and the US. So enjoy that, everybody.
I hope you guys have a good week.
Thanks for coming to my live stream.
Thanks for coming to my live stream.
Got to tweet an update on that tree when you figure it out.
Yeah, I got to find out about that tree. I mean,
you're really worried. I can tell.
I'm sure I'm fine. It's fine. I'm more worried about not having food in my fridge.
All in the Game says Elaine Thompson will compete tomorrow in the women's 60 at the Carson Warholm Invitational. All right.
Really?
We'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that
on Friday.
Yeah. Jordan says Gordon is depressed. LOL. David says he looks
depressed? I'm not depressed.
David says he looks hungry. Well, you said thanks for listening.
I got another one of these coming in the mail. Another what's NFC Championship. This is 2004. I got to add to the collection.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. I want to go to the Super Bowl. I tried to get a credential. Because I was going to go to NFL Media Day.
Yeah.
And I was going to walk around and ask everyone what their 100-meter PB is and just make jokes and stuff like that. But the deadline for credentials was passed. So I couldn't do that.
Oh, man.
I probably could
maybe appeal? One. Can you appeal?
I got one, right? No, that's too much work to figure it out. So. I'm also pissed because if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I'm not going to be able to go to the parade again. I didn't go last time because I was covering USA's, and I'm covering USA's this time. I'll be in Albuquerque when the Super Bowl parade is going on. I'm like, oh, dang it. So
Are you
I'm gonna have my
gonna?
own mini parade in Albuquerque.
No, but isn't it over? The meet's over on Saturday, right?
So no, Super Bowl is on Sunday. They have the parade on like
Thank you.
Wednesday or Thursday, and
Yeah,
I
I'm talking about.
fly to Albuquerque Thursday.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be.
I'll be in an airport when the parade is happening. I'll be in an airport.
You were in an airport. You were in an airport last time.
Yeah,
I remember.
listening
Guess who was
to
with
like
you?
the live radio feed of it.
Yeah,
And I'll be
you
like, I'm
wouldn't
so
talk
happy.
to me.
I'm
You
so
had
happy.
You had wireless headphones on, and I thought
you remember-
you're like, I'm listening to the parade. Like you wouldn't talk to me between flights. It was one of the first. I think it was the first trip I went with you. We went to Ames for the Iowa State Classic.
Maybe that was
and
it. Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool, man. I'm gonna go sit down by this terminal.
You would listen to a Dodgers parade or a Spurs parade.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly. You want to listen to
not
that
like-
pop speech? Yeah,
I
you
would have probably just said something that would have made you mad. So it's probably for the best that you did.
All right, like and subscribe, everyone.
Thanks to Colt for
Yeah.
dominating the show, MVP of the show, getting it back live. We appreciate you, Colt. Friday
you.
morning, 9 a.m. We got to do 9 a.m. on Friday because Gordon's going somewhere. We'll talk to you guys then.
See you.